Living every day in your head for free. You can tap away, but I will not hear you scream. You can break the keys, spread your toxicity, your world outside reality. In your room, a little hideaway, but you let it through. Enough to go insane, living in the dark hasn't treated you well. You're building your own prison cell. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Did I brush you off? Is it your lack of friends? We never met, even if you pretend. Am I in your debt? I don't owe you nothing. Don't say something you'll regret. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it. I'm telling you, don't waste it. Lies telling you, don't waste it on me.
Okay, we are live. Audio looks good. Everyone should be able to hear me. Welcome to the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. Now, what seems to be the World of Gaming Part 1.
Kind of feels like it, right?
Welcome to the show, gents. I've changed the camera angle yet again, because why not? Yes, it's just me and Boxy holding down the fort today. So far, nearly choked on myself there. But we've got some awesome topics to speak about, and me and Boxy know how to rant anyway, so we're all good. We're good to go. We know how to get through some good topics. Of course, if any of the other gents, we know Jen's taking a little bit of time off, and Mick is also taking a little bit of personal time off as well. So, of course, hope those two guys are good, and we'll see them again in the not too distant future. But, yeah, I don't know where Pat is. If Pat joins at any chance, then we'll get him in. If Shom joins, then we'll get him in. And if BitCloud joins, then we'll drag him in as well. But, Boxy, how are you doing today, sir? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
I'm doing good. Been busy with work lately. I have a hard deadline. You know, I don't get delays. I suggested that actually to my boss because he's a gamer too. Well, you at least plays on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But no, I'm kidding, of course. He's a gamer, and I said, like, everything's getting delays. We need those too. Like, can't meet the deadline, just delay the stuff. But unfortunately, the industry I work in doesn't work like that. So don't get delays, but get a lot of overtime. So that's what I've been mostly up to. And that's why I didn't play that much, honestly, because over the weekend, it's my 40th birthday. We had a big party, a little bit more than 70 guests. 25 of those were kids. So like double exhausting, but it was an awesome party. We had some guests over the weekend, so didn't get much gaming time in. But I played a little bit, of course, of Diablo this week. Not as much as I would hope to play, but I had some good fun. I started season 1 last week, and I'm really enjoying that. Doing a new character actually is a lot of fun because you get a little boost when you start a new character, because you already have like most of your renown carryover. You get your mount from the beginning, and you get all the extra XP boosts stuff that you have unlocked in your eternal character. So it's quite a lot of fun, actually, because you level up quite quickly. The new campaign is really well done. There are some nice little extra features. Really enjoying that. And I learned that you get to actually keep your seasonal character once the season 1 ends. It will automatically carry over like as an eternal character. So they do it the same way as they did it in Diablo 3. I did not know that. I understood it differently, but apparently I was wrong. So I'm happy to hear that, because then the time is not lost that you invest into your seasonal character. So I'm enjoying that, but I also continued a little bit with my sorcerer build. The guy is still buffed and feels like a little schoolgirl, but I figured out a new build. I'm level, I want to say 76 now or so with my eternal character, and I figured out a new skill build, which actually made the thing a lot better, even though they have not released patch 1.1.1 yet, where they want to, increase the strength of the sorcerer again. Barbarians, because those got nerfed as well. So even though the sorcerer is still nerfed as fuck, it's still fun to play, man. And that's basically what I did this week. I didn't play as much as I usually did, but I cannot wait to get back into proper gaming over the weekend, and hopefully next week I will have a lot more gaming time. So, but what about you, man? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so I've been a little bit of a mixture of games. I've been PC gaming for a bit because, of course, Ratchet and Clank.
What did you play?
Ratchet and Clank came out on PC.
Nice.
So I've been playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on there, but I've also got.
How do you like it?
Yeah, it's a good game, but I expected no less, because I loved Ratchet and Clank on the PS4 anyway. The last one. I don't even know whether or not the last one had a name other than Ratchet and Clank. I could be wrong.
I mean, the last one. Do you mean the remake? Because there was I think the last one was the remake. Yeah, I don't think that had a title attached, because Yeah,
well, that was the last one I played anyway, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And this is obviously just more of that, so I'm enjoying it. But it's good. It works, as we've discussed before. It works very well on PC, on both hard drive and on an SD. So we're good on that front. But I've also got, because I already have Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4, but I got Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate on the PC. So I've been playing that on the PC at 120 frames or something ridiculous. It feels buttery smooth, so much better than it is on PS4. So much better than it is on PS4. Like, it is infinitely smoother. Maxed out on all the settings, and believe it or not, there's actually not any settings on Final Fantasy on PC. There's absolutely fuck all settings to tweak what that game looks like on PC.
That's weird.
Like none.
That's weird.
You can select the resolution. You can select certain quality settings for high, and then you can select the frame rate, the frame modes. You can select it at 30 or at 60, and that's it. And then you can select the HDR
weird,
options. That's all of the options you've got.
That's super weird.
It's like so.
I can't remember that any other PC game has ever done that.
Yeah.
You know? That's weird.
Yeah, it's like really.
Have you Googled it? Why they have that? Or don't have that?
Oh, God knows. I don't know whether or not it's just a Final Fantasy thing, or whether or not it was just a quick port to put it straight over and make it like seamless as possible. But yeah, it's bare bones for the options. Like bare bones.
Weird.
I expected more, but at least it's buttery smooth.
That's at least good to hear. I hope the like quality settings are at least high.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good then.
Yeah, so those are the games that I've been playing. And,
Square is weird.
but also haven't felt the need, as much as I know you want me to jump on and play Diablo with you. I haven't felt the need to play Diablo recently. I just haven't.
I don't like to hear that, man.
I know.
I don't like.
I apologize in advance. But yeah, it's just that you had to be in the mood for it, and but I just don't want. I think my main issue is I don't want to start the story again.
You don't have to. Man.
I know you can just do the end world stuff and they give you the points and so on and so forth, but
no, that's not how it works. If you create your seasonal character, they ask you, do you want to skip the campaign? Yeah. And if you say yes, you start basically right after the campaign. You get, of course, your renown, but you get that as well if you like start the campaign again. So you always get that. But then you start at level 1. You don't get any points, nothing. So you really start your character from scratch, but you have like unlocked the same map that you have unlocked before, but not all fast travel points, only the 5 from the 5 main cities, or 6 main cities. And then the campaign of the season starts, and you start basically your character with level 1 in the seasonal story content, which is quite a lot of fun, actually. They have added a couple of new mechanics. You will find out what malignant hearts are. And I honestly, I recommend to check it out. It is really good.
I will at some point. I've just, when you just haven't got the massive need to jump on it. When it's like, it's more of the same. I've played the game. I know there's a few new cool things on here. I have the first season free because I got the Ultimate Edition, so I can realistically do this anyway. And I don't know, how long does the season last? How long does season 1 last?
I think 3 months.
Oh, okay, so I've got time.
But I might be wrong here. I'm not 100% sure.
So I've got time either way. It's at least a month or so.
Yeah, longer. I think it's 2 or 3 months.
Sweet. Right, so I've got time. So there's no need to jump in and rush into it. I can finish a couple of things up first.
Well, time is relative, you know that. But that time is relative, man. Because you won't have time as soon as
Starfield drops.
Starfield comes out.
I know.
And all the other stuff in October. So you postponing and you will never come back. That's the thing. It's what I always tell you about the backlog. It's not a backlog. It's like just.
I mean, the good thing about Diablo though is the fact that I've already finished the story. I've already finished the main campaign. These are just seasons, so it's not like an ultimate requirement for me to jump on this. Like, I know I can and I probably will, but I've got other games that really need to be finished before I get to Starfield, instead of doing more of a seasons thing. Like, I even wanted to do, because you can obviously, and we're going to be speaking about it, Final Fantasy 14 coming to Xbox, etc. And I was even debating on downloading the Final Fantasy 14 for PC because it has a trial period up to level 60 or 70, including the expansions and things. So I was going to download that and see what it's about, to see kind of whether or not I'd like an MMO Final Fantasy or not.
But isn't that... I might be wrong here, but isn't it the case that Final Fantasy 14 comes out spring next? Or is it already...
Spring 2024.
Spring 24?
Yeah.
So what MMO are you talking about?
Final Fantasy 14 on PC. I was going to download it on PC.
On PC, you want to play it on PC?
It's
Yeah,
cross
okay,
progression.
gotcha.
So even if I tried it on PC, the progression would carry over when Xbox version releases anyway. So I'd be all right on that front. It was a case of seeing what the FF14 is about. The last time I played an FF MMO was Final Fantasy 11, and that was like over a decade ago. I can't even remember when that game released. It's a while. It's a long while.
It's definitely a long time.
Might even be longer.
And the last MMO I played was I think Elder Scrolls Online when that came out.
Yeah, I've got that as well.
I mean, yeah, and shortly after it came out, and I played like the first 6 months or so, I became a father, and then I decided to give up MMOs because they just take up too much time, and my gaming time got significantly reduced. So,
oh yes,
yeah,
it happens. It happens.
That's when I gave up MMOs, man.
Yep. But,
well, I don't consider Diablo like an MMO. That's yeah.
Yeah, well, it is.
Well, it is what it is. Exactly, man.
It is what it is. But there has been a little bit of news this week. Some good news, some fun news.
Oh yeah.
And I'm even going to talk about Gamescom again, as much as people might be bored of hearing about it, because there has been some cool news that we'll be able to cover at Gamescom that I want to touch on. But we will get into the Final Fantasy news first. And whilst I do that, I'm going to transition over to some gameplay of Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. Ta-da! So there we go. A nice, fancy, quick, and I had to make this layout literally last second because, of course, we are down to 2 panel members. So, so enjoy the temporary layout here for 2 persons.
For 2 persons. I do like it, man. It's clear lines and a lot of gameplay is visible. Looks good.
Crisp.
Looks good.
Clear. Oh, I can't even go back there. I'm going to literally just pause this gameplay for a second so you can understand what I mean by the limited selection of... Let's go back. Let's play it again here. I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see the limited selection of graphic options here. And even for those in chat, so you can see what I mean about the limited selection of graphic options. There we go. That's it.
I can't see it, dude. I have to wait until it's on YouTube.
Yeah, you will in a second. It's like a 30-second delay. There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
That's it.
Interesting, man.
You
can at least put in texture resolution. Yeah. You're playing in full 4K, dude.
Yes. Yeah, the game's not taxing at all. I think the lowest specs are something like a GTX 9070 or something stupid. It's really not taxing. And you'll see what I mean when they go into gameplay. It's like buttery smooth. But let's carry on. So yeah, it's one of the most baffling PC ports I've seen. I haven't seen a PC port that bare bones on the graphics option since Rise. Rise Son of Rome also.
I've never played Rise on PC, so I have no idea.
I've got it on Steam. I got it on sale for like I think it was something like £2 or £3 or something. It was ridiculous. So I was like, oh, absolutely, I'll have that because it's on Steam and I'll be able to use the PC quality settings. And I went in the settings menu and it was there was nothing there, and I couldn't even go above like 1080p. I was like, what's going on? Why can't I even go higher than this? There was no options. So it is what it is anyway. It's unfortunate, but game still looks very pretty and it's buttery smooth. But speaking of Final Fantasy, we got some unexpected news, but something that Phil Spencer had been promising for years to do, and he's eventually managed to do it, but I believe it's aided by the fact that there is a new CEO at Square. I think had it kept the previous CEO and the previous CEO had stayed in place, that debate or that that deal of bringing games to Xbox again would have still been getting negotiated to this day. I think it would still be going and getting negotiated to next year and the year after and the year after. I just felt like they had no way of really being enticed to bring it over to Xbox. However, this new CEO seems to have his head screwed on, in my opinion, because Square's recent game releases haven't been hitting the cadence, the sales measures that they expect. They said Final Fantasy 16 was good and it was successful and so on and so forth, but realistically, they want to get to more people and have more people playing it and more people buying it. And the only way to do that is to be on more platforms. I think the new CEO is keen to do that. So we got the news that Final Fantasy 14 will be coming over to the Xbox in 2024, in spring 2024. And they will work together, in their notes, work together to bring over new Square Enix games or Final Fantasy games to Xbox in the future. So good news eventually. But Boxy, I want to hear your thoughts on something very specific, and we have conflicting thoughts on this one, which is why I wanted to ask you. But what are your thoughts on whether or not you believe this will actually end up being Final Fantasy 7, 9 remake, whatever happens in the future of Final Fantasy? You think it won't translate into that, and then it might be just 14, and it might. What's your thoughts on?
And
the
maybe
situation?
then 17.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whenever it comes out. It is a big and good question. But I think you want to read the super chat first.
Yeah, let's go.
That
Because it's Diablo related, and I know you want to hear
Exactly. First, we need to appreciate
Yeah, we do.
Andrew sending it in, and on the other hand, I don't want to move away too far from Diablo and then need to come back.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, shout out to Andrew Green. Thank you for the £10 super chat. I keep looking over here because my camera used to be over there, right here. Thanks for the £10 super chat there, Andrew. He says, "Hi gents, now D4 is dead. I moved on to Remnant 2. Fantastic game. Baldur's Gate 3 out tomorrow. I think then Starfield. Too many good games to play. Love the show. Keep up the good work." Thank you very much, Andrew. Much appreciated, and thank you again for the super chat. I'm sure Boxy would like that one. Boxy, do you wanna get that one?
Okay. So first of all, Diablo isn't dead. Servers are full. People are playing it. People are enjoying it. Just not as much as before patch 1.1 came out, which is still baffling to me. That like who at Blizzard was sitting there like, oh damn, the game is too much fun. We kind of need to take away the fun because people are enjoying the game too much. It's the only explanation I have, that someone thought that this is a good idea. For some reason, whatever. The game isn't dead, but I do get what you mean. A lot of people have moved on, but that's, I don't think, directly just related because of patch 1.1. People would have played it probably a little longer, but eventually people always move on. Like when a game is constantly played for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, that's already a great achievement. Look at Final Fantasy 16. Everyone was playing that when it came out for a week, and then bam, timeline empty. And same will happen to Remnant. And so it's still being played. Yeah, it's just not as present on social media anymore. So, but I do agree Remnant 2 looks fantastic. Actually, I was thinking about getting Baldur's Gate tomorrow. I could be playing that on PC and on my Rock Ally.
Yeah.
But then I'm a little scared because Baldur's Gate is probably a 150 to 200 hour game for me.
Yeah, at least.
At least. And
apparently they've got thousands of endings, so I mean, you're never really done with that game.
Yeah, that's the next thing. But you know what I mean? It's like I'm a little scared to start such a game only a few weeks before Starfield comes out. And honestly, I don't have many gaming weeks left before Starfield comes out, because in 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks, we are going to Gamescom. So the week before Starfield comes out, we are at Gamescom.
Yep.
I won't be playing Baldur's Gate when I'm at Gamescom. I will be playing Stalker 2, but not that. So I'm still torn whether to get it, because it does look fantastic, and I hear a lot of good things. But so yeah, Andrew is right. A lot of good stuff is coming. And that's the good thing. It's fantastic year for gaming, man.
Absolutely.
23. Let me tell you, Dutch, 23 will go down in history as one of the best, if not the best year in gaming.
Yeah.
If you just think about,
and if you think about whatever's come out for every platform as opposed to just a singular one, it's been absolutely packed.
It's an absolute packed year. Think about it. We have had Hogwarts Legacy, which is probably still the biggest game of the year. It's sold like gangbusters. Like you said, Zelda, on the Nintendo Switch. Awesome. Star Wars, Resident Evil 4. The year is insanely packed, and the best has yet to come. Starfield is coming in September. We have Spider-Man coming.
Forza,
of course. Yep. Forza Motorsport is coming. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate. You've had Final Fantasy 16. You've had
16. Exactly. Final Fantasy. Diablo, of course. A massive game. Yeah. We like all that in 1 year. Did I mention Jedi Survivor?
Yep. You've still got Alone in the Dark coming. You've still got
Alan Wake 2. You have a new Assassin's Creed. We have Avatar coming.
Kombat.
And probably Stalker 2, dude.
Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like it could squeeze in.
Looks like it.
Looks like it could squeeze in.
My bet is still on December, dude. That's Xbox
I think that would be a good
game.
end of the year if they managed to squeeze it. They did say that they were still trying to target this year, and they've been quiet and just plodding along. The fact that they're at Gamescom with playable hands-on, which we're going to get to play, it's we'll discuss that Gamescom thing anyway, because I'm excited to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. So let's get back to the actual topic. Yes. What were we talking about?
Final Fantasy, yes, and whether or not
this... Square. You asked me. You asked me what comes from this new friendship of Square and Xbox. See, I'm a guy. Fool me once, but not twice.
Do you think? But here's another thing for you as well, though. Do you think after Square have seen the renewed strengthening relationship with Sega recently, very strengthening relationship with Sega recently, and Sega being very happy to put all of their games essentially onto Game Pass day one, Square are looking at this and thinking, they're doing it for a reason. There's obviously a benefit to do this. Is that potentially an avenue they're looking at, where they're looking at another Japanese company doing very successfully on Xbox?
I don't know. We don't know how the new CEO over at Square is going to tick. What's his agenda? We don't know. But I must admit that I was reading this. My first reaction is, oh, cool! Finally, they got it sorted out. And then I was sitting there. Was it 2018 or 19 at Gamescom?
Yeah.
They were on stage together. They announced, all these Final Fantasies coming to all the old ones that came to Xbox. and now we are going forward, and Final Fantasy on Xbox, and then a little later we got 15 on Xbox, which was basically already an old game when it launched there, and then everything happened. You know, we never got Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is still, in my opinion, the best Final Fantasy out there. I absolutely love it. 16, obviously PlayStation exclusive, and we didn't even get Octopath Traveler 2, you know, a game I was really looking forward to play because I loved the first one. And if you remember, outside of the Switch, that was a Switch exclusive, you know?
It was, yeah.
And then it
randomly
and
dropped
then
into
it
Gamepass.
launched. Exactly, and then it dropped straight into Gamepass. And we didn't even get that, let alone Forspoken or any of the other stuff. So not that I'm sad about Forspoken, they can keep that, but I want the other stuff. So especially Octopath, man.
Yeah, I think RL Stein in chat was right there as well. 15 was the last game that launched day and date. Since then, 7 remake, 7 remake Intergrade, 16 and 7 Rebirth have been announced as PlayStation exclusives. So the big titles.
So and now I'm supposed to get excited about a 13-year-old game, which is Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah,
I'm not particularly excited about that. I would be absolutely excited if they would have announced like Final Fantasy Remake is finally coming.
Yeah,
and next year you will get day and date, not Game Pass, but same launch date, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That would have been the sign I wanted. What I got now is the lukewarm promise I got 5 years ago. The same. And again, fool me once, but not twice. So given that Xbox has promised a lot and has not delivered a lot, I'm not particularly excited about that. I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. I do hope I'm wrong.
The one thing that intrigues me about 14 is I keep hearing people that have played 14 and played 14 consecutively say that it is one of the better storylines in the franchise. If you including kind of the award-winning expansions like Stormblood and things like that. So I've heard really good things about the story, but again, for me, it's the fact that it's an MMO and how much of a long process that'll be to get into it and figuring it out, the systems and things like that. MMOs are big undertakings for anybody because it's a time sink. It's a massive time sink.
It is. It absolutely is. So, yeah. Listen, man, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and this is like really okay. We are now getting the Square Enix games, but then if you think about it, what is coming? What is coming from Rebirth is coming. They have the deal already signed with PlayStation. They're not gonna, change something about that. Not gonna happen. So Rebirth, don't expect that on Xbox. The next proper Final Fantasy 17. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. If they truly meant what they said. The same shit that they told us 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We might get Final Fantasy 17, but when is that coming out? 5-6 years? You never know.
We think we could get, again, I would imagine at this point as well, because there was a timed exclusivity that ran out with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Intergrade. We could get that, but I would think then it would be a case of Rebirth will go out on PlayStation, and because it hasn't already started porting or development on Xbox, Rebirth, of course, naturally being a PS exclusive at the minute, we won't see that game on Xbox for another year and a half, 2 years anyway. If it did happen,
I don't think so. We will not get Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because if that would have been the plan, they would have announced that. They would have, because that would get people way more excited.
You know what I care more about though, Boxy?
What?
The rumored Final Fantasy IX remake, which hasn't been announced for any platformers yet. Now, come on, that would be, because I value 9 above 7 anyway, in terms of the story.
You really think that this is true, the rumor? Because
I know 9, yes.
I'm not with you.
You know why I say 9, yes? Because they've already had DMCA takedowns for anybody who's trying to do a remake of themselves. The Square don't do that
Is
unless
that
unless
really
they've
a hint for a remake?
They did that with 7. It was a fan made remake of 7.
Yeah, but they also did it with 11 and 12, the DMCA strikes.
No, I mean like
and we're not getting remasters, so yeah, you can't put anything up there. It's like they even put down the DMCA striked all the very old ones. I can't remember whether it was 4, 5, 6, something like that, because they wanted to bring out the pixel remaster. So
that's a game that I think they should push.
That could be that is something that the pixel remaster is something I could see come out of this deal.
And Octo 2.
Pardon me, what was that?
Octo 2.
Octopath Traveler 2. I sure hope so.
I don't see why not. I would imagine that game would be super easy to port.
Yeah.
It's like literally you're not changing anything. The game's really easy to really in terms of the technical skill. It's not a
Man, I can max it out on my Asus ROG Ally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a super easy game to max out. So that's not a port.
Yeah, but then not on the Series S because.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Dude.
But yeah, I think an RL Stein in chat there said he meant more when all 3 Final Fantasy 7 remakes have come out, then potentially look at doing a collection in the future. That's a possibility.
That's a possibility, true, but that is in like 7 years,
a while,
8 years,
but I think
something like that. So yeah, I'm just saying this is always what I tell people.
Yeah, it's a time. I think it's a time thing.
Temper expectation with some of these announcements. It's the same with ABK. Yeah. What is, again, if you are a super fan of Call of Duty, good for you. You will be getting Call of Duty in 2 years for free in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This year's you will still have to buy, but we know earliest 25 Game Pass Call of Duty. You will get some of the old ones, of course. Yeah. But okay, but what else? Even if they greenlight one of our favorites, like, I don't know, a new Pitfall or new Tony Hawk, we won't be playing that for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And then you add the extra mismanagement Xbox gear on top of that. And then you end up in the next 5 to 6 years, there's really nothing exciting coming out of this deal. If you're not a fan of Call of Duty. Yeah.
Quick shout out to
Rush, maybe.
To Andrew Green as well there for another £5 super chat. He says, I think they're pushing FF14 on Xbox because Xbox could end up World of Warcraft, so they're getting in there first.
I like that train of thought, because this is something that if Xbox is smart, they will heavily try to push World of Warcraft onto consoles. I know it's not going to be the same experience, but man, it's not the same experience with Age of Empires, and it's not, and with other games as well. But
I think some of the overlays I've seen because I've never played World of Warcraft, thankfully, and I don't intend to. But some of the overlays I've seen of the amount of stuff people have got on screen on that game at any one point, I'm just like, how would that game
basically
work?
Your entire keyboard is the keyboard for shortcuts. So every letter on your keyboard has a shortcut for a certain something. Of course, you're limited there on console. But hey, the game today on PC has controller support.
Does it?
So what the hell? Yeah, you can play World of Warcraft with controllers. If they are smart, then that's something, and then I will happily take the L and say, okay, console gamers got something else out of this. But then it's like, again, you have to really like that kind of game, and its age, it's like a very old game. You know what I mean? So this is why I always try to think. I was way more excited about Bethesda and ZeniMax, because I knew, hey man, I'm getting Wolfenstein, I'm getting Doom, I'm getting like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, I get all Evil Within, all those awesome games that we actually enjoy and so yeah, that was Sega. If Sega turns out, dude, I would love to play the new Sonics. And even though I'm not a big Yakuza fan, a lot of people are. I can see that the value for console games
you
there.
see, I can see Sonic Frontiers jumping into Game Pass soon. I can see that happening.
You know,
and Microsoft and Xbox have been doing a lot of these Sonic tweets recently. I don't think it's because they're buying Sega. I think it's because they could end up putting Frontiers on Game Pass or something ridiculous.
No, it was ACG. I was listening to ACG's podcast the other day, and he said something, and that stuck with me because everybody's getting excited. They made this weird ass advertisement for the Edge browser with their hedgehog, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, Sega!" But then Sarah Bond teased something, you know, on Twitter, Sega related. And everyone was like, "Yeah, they are buying Sega next." And the idea was actually no. What she was teasing is actually Sonic coming to Game Pass. That's the partnership and not the acquisition. Which we shall see. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more to do with to be fair, what we've seen and what we kind of alluded to when the agreement was first made with Sega, and we're going back over a year or more now. They had this partnership agreement with Sega to help them develop this new cloud-based game that they've got ideas for and work on engine stuff, and it was like a technical and strategic partnership with Sega. But ever since then, we've seen continued increase on the amount of Sega games coming to there, the amount of Atlas games coming over, the amount of Atlas and Sega games going directly into Game Pass day one, and the amount of we've never seen this amount of Sega support on Xbox for a very long time. So if this is the type of strategic,
I always forget about those games, man, because I'm really not a Persona fan.
Yeah,
I'm just not.
But if you have to think of it, if it's the same kind of strategic partnership in a sense with Square Enix, then that's the kind of thing we could expect in the future. But again, if you have to think back to when that was announced, that wasn't an immediate thing. Like that was, we're talking about a year and a half ago or more when that Sega announcement was made with Xbox. And this year is when we've seen the fruits of that. And we even haven't seen whatever game they're helping them make, whatever this big, massive kind of meta game is that Sega's making. We haven't seen that yet. But we have seen the fruits of everything else, which is the Persona series coming over to Xbox and going day and date.
Yeah. Hang on, I just have to really quickly turn off the camera because my wife wants to get something out of the closet here in the background. So
it's all right. But yeah, so I think if this is the same, and I think if you have a look at some of these partnerships and strategic deals that Microsoft and Xbox have been doing with these developers and publishers, is there seems to be more to them these days than there ever has been previously. Like they're not like previously they would just mention, oh yeah, we're working with them and we're doing X, Y, and Z and we're bringing these games over. But now there seems to be a little bit more depth to these conversations and what kind of partnerships they're having with these companies. I don't think they go on specifically. It wasn't even like they did it at Microsoft stage. This was like a Final Fantasy Square anniversary, and they brought Phil Spencer on stage. It was like reversed.
Yeah,
they brought him on to talk about it as opposed to being on a Microsoft stage to talk about it. So,
which was actually kind of interesting. I give you that. I give you that, and I do hope that this is truly a new beginning for their relationship. You know, I truly hope that. But yeah, if you just think about what does Square have coming in the next couple of years, yeah. That is not already locked down by Sony. That's the point. Yeah. No.
I mean,
but man.
I mean, one thing they have coming that we don't know whether or not it's locked down, and that could change because it hasn't been announced officially yet. is Kingdom Hearts 4. That's a big one.
When is that coming out?
We don't know. It only just got announced last year, and it didn't have a date.
Last year, right?
It didn't have a date. It didn't have a platform. It just got its announcement trailer.
You're right. Kingdom Hearts. You're right. Kingdom Hearts is a Square Enix game. That is announced.
It's a Disney one as well, and Disney. You know what Disney are like.
They are happy when it comes to more platforms. That could be, man. That could be. Yeah.
That's a big one. But yeah, I agree. I think initially the games that we'll probably see, the likelihood of this is things like Pixel Remaster first. I would more side on what R.L. Stein was saying and saying if we do get Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox again, it will be when the full trilogy's out. And then they'll do some kind of collection or something along those lines. But even then, I mean, yeah, it could. It's going to be a while till we'll see FF7 on Xbox. I don't even know whether or not FF16 would ever come to Xbox. I don't know. That's a tough one to call.
It's a good question because
it's not like Final Fantasy VII where it's a well beloved historic franchise entry that's been remade and everybody wants it. 16's a new one. Yeah. It's again new mechanics. It's not quite on the same path as the rest of them. It doesn't have the same foothold as the rest. Yeah, a few people will want to play it, but the same amount of people that would want to play 7 Remake, I don't think so. And I think Xbox would not really push to get 16 and probably just say, okay, well, 7 Remake trilogy and FF17 and Pixel Remaster and all them things. The going forward titles, let's get those over. Let's get Pixel Remaster first. Let's get Octopath first. Let's make sure that Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming onto this console in the future. And then let's make sure 7 Remake Trilogy comes whenever that trilogy is finished. And then look at 17. I think that would probably be the best angle. But again, like you say, you just never know. Because it's Square. Yep. We've just got to hope this CEO, the new guy, has better intentions than the previous one. The problem is...
I truly hope.
Yeah, the problem is... And I've been saying this for a long time, and this isn't just because it's on PlayStation. I've been saying this even when Final Fantasy was on Xbox. But the management structure and the way that the management is handled at Square has never been good. There's always been a lot of levers. There's always been lots of changes. They've always changed game directors in the middle of creating games.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things of, will the CEO even be in place long enough to see everything through? Hard to tell.
Hard to tell, man. Yeah.
Has Final Fantasy 16 been one that you've thought about picking up on PlayStation?
Yes, I have. I actually... It launched directly with Diablo. Yeah. I played Diablo, and I was sitting there when patch 1.1 dropped in Diablo. I was like, it was this close hitting the button. But then I thought, like, man, you have so many other games to play. Yeah. And it's a massive game as well. Like, Luke told me it took him 45 hours just to beat the campaign. Not even the side quests, you know. And so I was like, yeah, I don't really have the time. I would love to play it though, and I'm waiting for a sale. That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Usually the Square games go into sales relatively quickly. You know, in the last Steam sale, you could get Forspoken already for I think it was $25 or so. So yeah, I thought, man, I bought the Rock Ally, and that took up a lot of my gaming budget. I'm going to Gamescom, and that's gonna dig deeply into the gaming budget. And so I'm and October is near. I want to get Assassin's Creed, you know. I want to get Spider-Man 2. So it's like, of course, Starfield and Forza. I will play those through Game Pass. But then I already bought the like
expansion.
super premium expansion thing for Starfield as well. So yeah, that's why I'm holding off on Final Fantasy 16. But then on the other hand, man, if that would be a Play Anywhere title, I would probably have already got it. Like, you know what I mean? If I would be able to go back and forth in between my Ally PC and the console, I would definitely have bought it. But I'm yeah, you know what I mean. So
yeah. I'll be picking.
I think it looks really good, man.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Daz as well, because he's never been a Final Fantasy player, and I've seen him absolutely love 16, and then end up going back and purchasing a load of old Final Fantasy titles. So, welcome to the Final Fantasy family.
Exactly.
Because I seen him. He bought. Not only did he buy Final Fantasy 7 remake, he bought it twice. He got the Final Fantasy 4 the PS4 version and the PS5 version separately in physical.
Yeah.
He got Final Fantasy 12, 10, and 10-2, I think. Final Fantasy 15. Obviously, he's got 16. I think he got a few more. World of Final Fantasy, I think he got as well, and a couple of others. So, yeah, he's getting right into it now. But I did say to him though, if you like Final Fantasy 16's combat style, you will like 15's combat style, because it's very similar. Very similar.
And Final Fantasy 7 remake as well. It's like very similar.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm still a little confused, because I remember you talking shit about this combat system, and you are really enjoying Final Fantasy 7 remake. So
7 remake still has the party system, and it still has the kind of turn-based scenario is to a point where you.
Oh, but they have that in 15 as well?
I know 15, yeah, but 15's exactly the same. It's got a party scenario, and you can select magic and throw things, and you've got those abilities. 16 is a little bit different. I'm really not sure about 16 in terms of its like the differences. It doesn't have a party system at all. Yes, you have a buddy, a little dog that helps you out throughout, but I'll get it when I get the PlayStation 5 hooked up. 16 is one I'll probably be adding to the collection anyway.
But you're probably waiting for the Pro, right?
We'll see. We'll be talking about that in a little bit as well. But yeah. To be fair, one of our topics pretty much covers off an entire thing about next gen consoles anyway, because it's about the new Switch.
Yes.
Of course, there was a leak about the new Switch Pro or Switch 2, whatever it is. And there was something on there that I seen immediately that I kind of alluded to a few months ago anyway, that I don't think they'll launch with the OLED. And I thought they would bring an OLED model of the next Switch out later down the line. I thought they'd just revert to just releasing with an LCD screen. And judging by the leaks, that turns out to be true. They're actually releasing not as an OLED, they're releasing with an LCD again. It will be more powerful, as we know, as that was kind of leaked anyway in the whole FTC debacle with Activision kind of leaking the specs, at least the specs that they were aware of, which was it's kind of on par with Gen 8 systems. The only thing we don't know is whether or not that's latter Gen 8 systems, i.e. the One X and the PS4 Pro, which would be the more beneficial route to take, or if it's like super slow, really bad, base, old PlayStation 4 and Xbox VCR. What did you make? Have you had a chance to look at the kind of leak for the Switch, and what do you make of it?
I've seen the news. Man, you're taking all the topics away for tomorrow's podcast, but
we'll talk about it then.
we're gonna make it work. No, I think it's quite interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, we got this weird statement from the ABK trials that it's more or less like the base Xbox One, PS4, and I don't think that. I don't think that this is true because, of course, it's not state-of-the-art hardware. That's not what Nintendo does. Yeah, they try to hit the price point that is still accepted by the mass market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. They're not gonna release a console for 600-700 euros or something like that. That's not gonna happen. That's not how they roll. Yeah, they will also try to hit the 4, maybe now the 500 with inflation and everything, maybe 500, and they want to make money off of this. Yeah, that's how they always worked. They while Sony and Microsoft, they subsidize basically the console, sometimes even sell them at a loss.
Yeah.
It's different with Nintendo. So what can they realistically bring in terms of hardware specs? They're not gonna be on par with a ROG Ally. Yeah.
No,
they're not gonna be on par with a base Xbox One either, because when the Xbox One came out, what now? 10 years ago, it was already an outdated console 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The Jaguar CPUs were not even close to state of the art. Yeah, that was the same goes, by the way, for the PlayStation 4. It is that is what is so special about this gen. This gen with Xbox Series and PS5, we have had more or less state of the art hardware for that price point.
Yeah.
Try if you went back to 2020, you go back 3 years ago. Yes, Zen 3 CPUs were already there. You could argue, okay, not absolutely state of the art, but it was like still very modern, very capable CPU, GPU. Obviously, RDNA 2 launched the same year. The architecture, absolutely state of the art hardware, and you were not able to build a PC with similar specs for that price point. You just were not. Yeah, and that was special. But because when the Xbox One came out, you could absolutely build an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 for $500 on PC. And that's what I mean. It was not, they were not really state of the art 10 years ago. And even though Nintendo is not going to push towards like absolute state of the art, super performant hardware, that's not how they roll. They are not going to build like a 10-year-old console that was outdated 10 years ago. That's also not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what do I expect there? We know that out of the 3 console manufacturers, they are the one that are in bed with Nvidia. Yeah, since also one of the rumors were that backwards compatibility is at least a discussion point for them. They're not gonna move away from that. They will stay with Nvidia. So they will have DLSS, man. And that, whether you like it or not, that is a game changer.
Yeah.
It is the better technology when you compare it to AMD's FSR. It just is, yeah. And if you have that in a hybrid console, because I fully expect this to be a hybrid console again. That model has been so successful for them.
Judging by leaks, that is the case as well. It's going to remain hybrid.
Yeah. Everything points towards that. So because if they would make a stationary console again, they would have to also create a handheld, and it's not gonna happen. Yeah, this has been so massively successful for them. Not gonna happen.
I think one thing they need to do with the screen, even if it is LCD, is if we ever remember the original Switch, the bezels on the screen due to being an LCD were massive. And the reason the OLED really popped and stood out was because the OLED screen's bezels were far smaller. It was really sleek.
But then it's yes, I do know what you mean. Then there are LCD technologies out there that can grant you smaller bezels. I think seriously, I don't think it has to do with the display technology itself. Why they chose the big bezels at the launch? It was more like robustness.
Yeah,
it is like again, this is a console created for kids.
Yes,
it is for us bigger kids as well. Yeah. I'm gonna get the new Switch 2 or whatever it will be called. I will get that. It's also for smaller kids. When I look at how my kids treat it, it's like, yeah, you kind of want to build a robust thing. Display there, and I think it has more to do with that because you can make small bezels with LCD as well. So, but I don't expect a big GPU. I don't expect a big CPU. I do expect them to actually push towards 60 FPS. Is with the help of DLSS. This I could see, but then it will be a very average hardware again. But that's not what Nintendo needs. What they need is to have a hardware that is affordable for families. A lot of households have multiple Switches. You know, the one brother gets one, then the sister gets one as well. You know, stuff like that. So you want to make it affordable, and at the very end, their games sell their systems. No one buys Nintendo for hardware performance.
Yeah,
I still do wonder. Because the one thing that is heavily criticized with the Switch is, of course, third-party support. I know there are third-party games on there. Of course, yeah. I mean, even Doom Eternal runs there, you know?
Yeah, and very well.
And actually very well, yeah. But at the very end...
Wolfenstein does as well, doesn't it?
Is Wolfenstein on there?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I know Diablo 3 is on there.
Yeah, Wolfenstein's on there as well. I think I remember.
I mean, The Witcher. Yeah, The Witcher runs there actually really well. So I think we covered this. Games are built in this day and age anyway to be scalable. Yeah, we see that because every game is built for PC. The console port is just byproduct. You know, that's why a lot of them are so lackluster and not optimized. But games are built for PC, and they scale across a very vast range of hardware. Unfortunately, the Switch today doesn't even reach the minimum specs of PC. So what they will aim for is that at least for the next foreseeable future, the minimum specs on PC match the Switch performance so that they can get more of these ports, third-party ports over. This is what I expect, but at the very end, I don't expect like good hardware in terms of performance. It's still gonna be a fun console though, because again, they make fun games. They just do.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Red Eye Jedi in chat there. Said he's just been playing Witcher on Switch today and was surprised how well it runs. Yeah,
it is
a very good port. Really good. Very impressive.
And actually, if you are on the Switch with The Witcher, trust me, I've played more than 100 hours on the Switch of The Witcher.
I know you finished it on every available platform.
I did. Damn it, I did. And I'm proud of it, man. I'm proud of it. What was I about to say? Yeah, there are a lot of graphic options on the Switch, and especially when you play in handheld mode, you get rid of chromatic aberration and that stuff, but also like you can decrease a little bit the shadow quality and stuff like that, which is very rare for a console port ever. Not even the Xbox and PlayStation version of The Witcher do support the amount of graphical options you have on the Switch. You can really squeeze out a lot of performance and get some real good looking game there. It's really good, man.
Yep. I've also got it on Switch as well, believe it or not. You probably didn't think that, but I do. I've got a lot of games.
Have you
on
played
Switch.
it on the Switch?
I have, yeah.
Actually,
yeah. I've played it. I played that. I've got Hellblade on there. I've got quite a few of these because it was especially when they started porting over these big games. I was like, I'm going to get them to see what they look like. I want to see.
I also have Skyrim on there.
I haven't got that yet, but I've debated it.
You can never go wrong with Skyrim, man.
I think I'm gonna wait this, and we're gonna discuss this part about it as well. But I think I'm gonna wait for the next Switch before I start buying any more games for the Switch now. There's nothing that's upcoming that I need. I'm gonna get the expansion for Pokemon, but that's it. Like I don't need Pikmin right now. I don't need Luigi's Mansion anytime soon. I can wait on that. So there's nothing I desperately need on Switch anytime soon. So I think I'm gonna wait and get a new Switch when that comes out. However, one of the things that they're not sure on as yet is backwards compatibility on Switch.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That's the thing.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because that's like, you're talking 130 million people have a Switch now. And if you don't have backwards compatibility for the next Switch, people are going to be really pissed off. Like, no matter how big of a Nintendo fan you are, that's not good. Not good. Like, if you have a think back at pretty much every Game Boy that they released, every handheld, you could play the OG Game Boy games on the DS. You could play the DS games on the 2DS. You play it on the 3DS. Like you could literally.
I know. Game Boy Advance plays everything. Game Boy Color games and everything. So yeah, I do agree. But then if you think about stationary consoles, which Nintendo console was backwards compatible? None of them.
2DS to 3DS.
Stationary, not handhelds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but even then the Wii was disc.
Yeah, that's... Of course.
Yeah.
The Wii was disc. The Wii U was disc.
Yeah.
Different disc. The GameCube was a disc. But they had these weird-ass little discs.
Tiny discs, yeah.
The tiny discs.
I still love the
GameCube. Is still and everything.
The GameCube, in my opinion, was still ahead of its time, and it was probably one of the best, if not best, Nintendo consoles they've ever made. It was phenomenal. I love the GameCube.
The GameCube was absolutely. That's what I'm telling you, man. It was not the best or most successful.
And they also had an attachment to connect to it so you could play Game Boy games.
They had? I remember that. I still have my GameCube. I love it. The controller was also super fantastic. But
really good.
It was the last time that Nintendo actually tried to compete in the, compute power space.
Yeah.
After that, they decided, okay, we are not competing with Xbox and PlayStation anymore. We are just not. Yeah. But with GameCube, they did. And they did it in a great way. That was the last time we got a Zelda where I actually enjoyed the art style. Twilight Princess looked fantastic.
Yeah.
After that, all we got is like cel-shaded stuff. Don't get me wrong, I like the Zelda games. I do. Yeah. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is even better than Breath of the Wild. But I don't like the art style. I don't like these cel shaded games. I know they are timeless and everything, but hey, like think about the art style of Twilight Princess in a modern engine on a capable machine.
Yeah.
That's the Zelda I would love to see.
That's exactly the same. But even if you see, and shout out to Daz in the chat there as well, says, I don't have any room for another console. Don't lie. There's always room for a Switch.
He should just get rid of all his pineapples.
His pineapple memorabilia in the pineapple shelf. As soon as you get rid of that, plenty of space.
Whenever I see a picture of Dazzy on Twitter, I feel like, okay, I picture his living room like this. There are 2 gigantic pineapples left and right to his TV. Then he has like a big picture, like an oil painting of him hugging a pineapple.
Yep.
Yeah, above the TV, and then like pineapple cushions and
pineapple coffee table. Yeah,
exactly. Stuff like this is how I picture it. And if he would just get rid of that stuff, then he would have space for consoles, man.
Yeah.
Little free advice here, Dazzy baby.
Yeah. Yeah, just ditch the pineapples, Daz, and you'll have plenty of room. Fanto says Daz is the man from Del Monte. Oh dear me. Dazzy, there's always room for a Switch. You just put it floating on the wall like mine is over there.
Yeah.
Just get one of them floating mounts, you'll be fine. Stick that on the wall. No, you've always got room for a Switch. And they are good little handhelds, and to be fair, price-wise, they're okay.
The games are not, though.
No, the games
are fair at launch. They cost all the same, but
outside of me and you, who buy third-party ones, the vast majority of people that buy a Nintendo Switch are buying it specifically for the exclusives. So and thankfully Nintendo doesn't release that many games. So
and they do, but
not all your kind.
I don't know. There are Nintendo games and Nintendo games. Yeah. I love the Zeldas. I love the Marios, stuff like that.
But we don't love the Splatoons. We don't love the
exactly. Yeah, the weird stuff, Animal Crossing and stuff like that.
So yes, yeah.
Good talk, man.
It is indeed. Speaking of next consoles, though, PlayStation 5 Pro. More rumors that they have another one in the works, and it's coming out.
You gotta leave some topics for the world of gaming, man. It's like you looked at the thumbnail, and then we're like,
the thumbnail, as far as I can see, Boxy, was just to be confirmed. So.
It had. Oh, I see. I forgot to actually press save. Luckily, I still have the tab open, so it should be up there momentarily, man.
Yeah. But yes, PlayStation 5 Pro, and the need for enhanced consoles. I'm going to start on that one for you, and I want you to get your rant out, because you've been predominantly, we need these. We definitely need these. So, what do you think about this PlayStation 5 Pro leak, or should we say more info / do we need enhanced consoles already?
We have. Hang on, I just need to switch lighting here. There we go. We do. See, I know that this is a complicated discussion to have, and I understand that people are out there saying, "Well, we don't need them because the developers, they have not used what what is in the consoles that we bought 3 years ago. We have not even seen true next-gen games. We don't need them. The point is, at the very end, there is no such jump anymore in between generations. When you look back at Nintendo, we had just had the discussion. When you make the jump from Super Nintendo to N64, that was like a generational leap.
Yeah.
You went from 2D to 3D. Yeah, that was obviously a generational leap. Yeah. You could also argue that the jump into the next generation. Yeah. We got proper graphics engines for the first time. GPUs, dedicated GPUs were introduced. Yeah. So yes, that were generational leaps. Now, in this day and age, the last gen console, this gen console, they run on the same architecture. It's both the x86 architecture, and games, again, are not developed for console anymore. They are developed for PC. They are built to be scaled. And that's why we see this long cross-gen period, because the games are made this way. You don't have to port it over. Build a game for PS3 and then try to port it over to PS4. That is actually work. Yeah. Vastly different architecture. Same goes for Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Vastly different architecture. A lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not. This time, the games are on PC. x86 architecture. You have that in Xbox One, you have that in Xbox Series consoles. Of course, it is easy to scale those games across. You dial down a little bit the details and the resolution, and bam, you have the port. Cross-gen is just a thing. And I think a couple of years ago, Microsoft talked about something similar when everyone was like, oh, they are going out of business, out of the console business, when they said the classic console generation is no more. And that's what they meant. It's like you have games being built for PC anyway.
Yeah.
That's where the games are built for. And your Xbox Series version is more or less just a certain setting. Now, granted, there are options to use more tools to optimize this particular version, because it will run on millions of devices that have the exact same graphic configuration. Of course, you can optimize for that. But we also see that developers don't have the time or resources to do so. At the very end, making games costs already a lot of money. And optimizing for a certain machine is gonna take away of your revenue. And that's the simple fact. That's why we don't see the tools being used. And they can't build the game around the tools either, because it will have to run on a PC anyway, where the game will have hardware configurations that don't have the tools available. So at the very end, it comes down to this. This is also why we see a lot of games run better on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Because it simply has double the install base. So if you take extra time to optimize the console version of your game, you're gonna optimize it obviously for the console where you will sell double the amount of units. Simple as that. And Xbox has made it significantly more difficult for them anyway, because they have two SKUs that they have to optimize for. Not gonna happen. So at the very end, it's brute force. The porting over to console is brute force, and we need to accept that. I was hoping for something else 3 years ago. When you go back and watch my videos, absolutely, I was hoping for something else. But at the very end, this is the harsh reality. Making games is a business.
Yeah.
It's not charity, guys. It's not. It's a hard business, and those publishers will try to optimize their revenue. And optimizing for console versions, making use of the tools, not gonna happen. And we'll see it. We don't even see it with Xbox first-party exclusives. Man, Starfield at 30 FPS, best example. So there you go. So what is happening at the same time in the PC space? Zen 5 CPUs are on the horizon. So 3 generations. We are 3 generations later in the CPU technology. We have Zen 2 CPUs in PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. Yeah, RDNA 4 coming next year. RDNA 4, guys. We skipped 3. Technology moves on a lot faster. And I don't see the downside of this optional console. I just don't. We will never ever see the games like all using the tools and this stuff. It's not gonna happen like that. There will be certain tools being used. We've seen it. But Diablo is now the second game in the world that uses direct storage. Yes, we will see stuff like that. Occasionally, one tool in one game. But that's it. At the end, if you want performance, you have to brute force it. You kind of have to. And that's the mid-gen refresh console. Yeah. Technology, next year, our consoles will be 4 years old. They are not state of the art anymore. They are outdated. We have to accept that, whether we like it or not. And cross-gen will carry on longer, of course, because it's possible. As long as the minimum specs on PC match something similar that we have on Xbox One and PS4, we're gonna have those games. Why not? Why not? The version is there anyway. It just is. So if I see people say, but we haven't seen what the consoles can do already, I do agree. For software development will move forward, and over the years they will squeeze out a lot more out of these consoles, just like they did last gen. If you look at the launch games from 2013, and if you look at the games now still come out on Xbox One, of course there's 10 years of difference, but that doesn't mean that it's state of the art. And I wanna have an option to play my games. I play so much. I play hundreds of hours each year, thousands of hours each year. I want to do that on the best way possible. So why not give me the option? Why not give an option for mid-gen refresh consoles? And that's my take on this, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, these are the types of things that we'd pick up anyway because we like new technology. Then you have to think of the different and more difficult circumstances that they have to think about as well. At the moment, that might be a little bit more difficult to justify a higher priced console, which is the vast majority of people haven't either switched over to the next gen as yet. First of all, because they weren't readily available. Now they are. Second of all,
PlayStation is. I don't know about Xbox.
It is over here.
The Series X, I checked the other day, and it was not available on the Microsoft store here in Germany, and it was not available on Amazon. You could get from some. You have these weird ass stores sometimes on Amazon, but they charge you like 600 euros and more for the console. That's where you find the Series X. I'm sure if you want one, you can track one down. But regularly available on Amazon, no. Regularly available through the Microsoft store, no. Series S, yes, but not X.
Yeah, it's a bit different over here. X and S, as well as PlayStation 5 and digital, are all readily available now. And they've went on to a big, specifically for the PlayStation, went on to a big sale the other day where they were, I think it was something like 400 and something, or 400 for the regular. Actually, no, it was 399 for the regular disc PlayStation 5 the other day. It was something like 398 for the digital, which made no sense. So big cost reduction there, and it's still reduced now. I think it's 420 or something for the PlayStation 5. I think the only issue they've got though is if you release, especially if you're releasing a mid-gen refresh console, that's more powerful than the base console. When the base console is still 450, 480, whatever it is when it's on normal sale price, and then you're releasing a higher priced version of that console at say 550 or 600. I think the only way they can probably get that to work is if they reduce the price of the previous console. You've got to think of the way that the economy is right now as well. I hate breaking it up, but it is a common fact. Like, people have either just getting around to picking up one because the money hasn't been great, or it hasn't been readily available, or they just don't have the money to upgrade to the next PS5 anyway, even with it reduced price. And then you're going to bring in another PlayStation 5, an Xbox, that they can't afford anyway, and before they know what the miles behind, and they still can't afford to get it. So it's a balancing act. Do they do this on the knowing that they probably won't shift as many of these advanced consoles as they hoped, and that people are going to probably wait for this advanced console to release so that they can pick up a PlayStation 5 and not the PlayStation 5 Pro, hoping that it's going to reduce the price on the others? Or like, this is the balancing act that these manufacturers and console developers have to think about. Like, the economy isn't what it is in a normal year. If you released, like, before COVID, when things were okay, and you released the One X or the PS4 Pro or whatever it was, most people will be like, yeah, that's fine, let's go for it, I can afford to do that. Released it right now when like the cost of literally everything's going through the roof. I'm seeing people moan about like the cost of going to football matches that have increased by like £5. It's like, what? Like, like, everyone is so hypersensitive to price changes now. So if you brought out another console that is significantly more expensive, which it will be.
I know what you're saying, but
I understand on the power side.
The demand for a premium product is still there. You see it across every part of the economy. Luxury cars still sell like crazy. Luxury products sell, and the new NVIDIA GPUs sell like hotcakes. People are willing to invest in gaming, and don't fool yourself. This console is not for the average gamer, the average Joe that goes into a store and says, "Hey, I want to play a video game." They are going to opt into the cheaper option, the basic consoles. Yeah, but
I just think the smarter move for these would be, if they are intent on releasing a mid-gen refresh, then before they do, they need to have a permanent price decrease on the current consoles. Like, it's great having an $80 reduction for the PlayStation 5 now.
Yeah.
But that's a temporary summer sale. Like, if they're planning on doing a PlayStation 5 Pro, that $80 decrease needs to be a permanent thing. It needs to be.
And will be.
It should be.
Will be, and it will be called the Slim.
But it makes no sense as to why they bothered increasing it by $50 first, to then reduce it by $80 only like less than a year later. Like, sometimes some of these like price increases end up looking like they're not really justified. Especially when they cited the cost of X, Y, and Z, and the cost of distribution, and the cost of shipping, and etc. to all these destinations has increased significantly, so we have to put the price up, inflation, blah, 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 blah. And then a couple of months later, they've reduced it by 80, which was a significant reduction compared to what they increased it by.
Yeah.
It kind of wipes out the reasoning for why they put it up in the first place, but...
Yeah, well,
and it's not like the markets went down, because the markets went up.
Yeah, but there were different things going on. I don't want to defend it, because but the price increase was because of greed and of course inflation. And now you are entering this phase where you have sold the console to PlayStation in particular has sold 40 million consoles. They have sold to the hardcore gamers. And the core gaming community, they are covered with consoles. They're good. Now you wanna cater to the casual market. And for that, you need a price reduction. Also, inflation, yes, a thing, but at the same time, the production of the console goes down significantly after a couple of years. Chip manufacturing becomes significantly cheaper. You have you reduce the manufacturing lines and everything. That's why we, in every other console generation, after 3 years, 4 years, console prices were down also. So and look how they did it last gen. Yeah, they still sold for a good amount of time the PS4 cheaper than the PS5 4 Pro, and it's exactly what they're gonna do here. It's exactly what they're gonna do here, and people, especially the core gamers, let's not fool ourselves. Not everyone, but many of those gamers that have bought the PlayStation 5 at launch, man, they got 4 years already. They have their console for 4 years when this thing comes out, the PS5 Pro. They got their money's worth. They will sell off like the PS5 for, I don't know, $300, $250, and then get for $500 the new one, the new shiny thing. People want that. After 4 years, people want something new.
But it depends.
Get excited
It depends also on what that something new is. Because if it's just an increment, let's have a think of it. If they go too far ahead on a mid-gen refresh, like if we're seeing they're gonna go Zen 3, they're gonna go double the RAM.
They're gonna go Zen 5.
Yeah, but even if they did, then what's the point? You may as well go next gen. You may as well do PS6.
Why?
Because it just
why?
Because then
why leave this massive install base behind? Again, it's an option.
That's the point. Because then it's just a massive discrepancy on power. Massive discrepancy on power.
So then on PC, you have the games running on a 1060 and a 4090.
I just can't see them. I can't see doing a mid-gen refresh that has that much power, because then they would just end up in the same problem again, where the cost of something is going to be so high, and then the price model for that next gen console is going to be higher than it's ever been before.
What? Yeah, it's going to be 600.
Yeah, and I just can't see them bothering.
It's going to be 600.
That. I don't think they'll do the latest and greatest. I don't. I see them doing like, if they're doing a mid-gen at all, doing a little bump. I can't see them leaving a massive discrepancy.
It won't be that little. Yeah, I mean, if you move over to Zen 4, not even the state of the art Zen 5
by little bump, I mean more what you're actually getting out of the console. If we have a look, and even Fanta was saying in their chat, the difference between the Xbox One and the One X is you jump from like 900p straight to 4K. And native 4K at that, and in some cases 4K 60, which was a big jump and a worthwhile jump from one to the next. But that's what they were trying to do. And even PS4 Pro was a significant jump over the first one. But
it was.
What is that?
I don't see the argument against this.
What is that?
Why shouldn't this work this year?
The problem is though, what is that jump? What is to the user? What is that jump? We're getting right now. We're still getting games, not in native 4K, but you don't need it. We've been advocating for that for a while. You don't need native 4K.
Yeah.
Like
agreed.
But
we want our frames, man.
Yeah, but even then, you still
look at this year.
If a game is optimized,
Star
you're still
Wars,
getting 60.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Starfield. And so on. We're not getting the frames. We don't get, if we do get the 60,
but
sacrifices are usually huge.
An extra 30
Remember
frames,
Dying Light?
Is an extra 30 frames justifying 600 though? I don't think it is. I think an extra 30 frames for 600.
And it's not an option for you. If you don't feel like this is worth for you, nobody's forcing you. Because it's just an option.
In general though, if the visual quality is exactly the same, or there or thereabouts the same, because it's not going to jump up significantly, because it's still going to be 4K, right? So the visual quality is still going to be there or thereabouts the same over the base one. The difference is
it's going to be higher graphics settings. Again,
we'll
listen,
see. It depends on how they support
it. It is very similar to what you have in the PC market. In the PC market, you can play the game. All the games that come out, you can still play them on your 1070.
Yeah. But the difference is, and we've been saying this for a while on PC versus its console, although we have options for changing graphical settings on console, kind of, you don't really. And I don't think they still will push that level of graphical change onto console.
No, it will be... Yeah, but that's the thing. If you have more power, you can play games either at higher settings, better texture quality, better lighting, better shadows, whatever, better physics, and so on. Just like what you... That's why people buy the 4080s. That's why people buy the 4090s. And a lot of people are buying them. Again, there is a demand to have like a premium product to play games on.
Of course, but I just don't think like I don't think the technological jump is going to be as standout as it was from when we had the PS4 to the PS4 Pro or the One to the One X. Like, we're not going from 1080 to 4K. And we're not going from 30 frames to 60 frames. Like, that's what
we're going to get.
Yeah, but even
that's
then,
what we're going to get. If you have a Zen 4,
like, but in terms of like your Forzas and your Forza Horizons and your Gears, which are all native 4K 60, there's going to remain native 4K 60 on the next one. You're still going to get a performance option of 120 on the next one, so they remain unchanged. You might get a couple of extra tweaks, like, yes, now we can do ray tracing, like actual ray tracing, not just pretendy ray tracing where it's like dumbed down. We can do that, but what I'm saying is the actual leap of quality compared to last gen's mid-gen refreshes and this gen's so early on, when, as we've mentioned, they haven't actually utilized what UE5 can actually do. In fact, we've only seen one UE5 game released.
I wanted to say that, but as soon as UE5 games come out, you will see how demanding they are, and
it depends but it depends, because when I see, okay, what can a UE5 game do, I'm going to look at the Coalition and say, if the Coalition can make this game run at 4K 60 with ray tracing, etc., bells and whistles, and be buttery smooth, like we know they can do on previous gen, and have shown multiple times, and they are kings at UE, then if they can do that, all of these guys haven't optimized correctly.
Yeah, but
so it leaves
it
down to the developers issue.
Like, the vast majority of the game developers will never have the options to optimize in that way. It could either be because of simply the lack of skill, because not every developer in this world has the same skill level like these wizards over at the Coalition, and the others don't get the funding for it. And so you will be left at this point, and we've seen it this gen. And a lot of people always say, when it comes to these console arguments, well, we haven't seen true next-gen games yet. Yeah, but why is that? Why? Yeah. So the thing is, at the very end, the next-gen games are, again, just a certain graphical setting in that game. And you can increase those if you play, honestly, if you play Cyberpunk, on your Xbox One and the Series X, you will notice a certain difference. There is definitely a certain
obviously,
difference.
There's a massive difference. One barely runs.
Different. No, there is not a massive... That's my point. It's not a massive... It will look nicer because it has better texture, better resolution. No doubt.
Cyberpunk barely runs on an Xbox One.
It runs actually now, after all the patches. It runs there. That's my point. You get a little bit higher resolution, but then you go over to PC, and I played it on on my 3080, which is now also not very state of the art, but still very capable GPU. And I played that, and I say, okay, now it looks next gen. And that's the thing. You increase lighting quality, you increase texture quality, you increase volumetric effects, make a lot of difference in games. Yeah, you increase stuff like that, and suddenly you get your next gen games. And that's just the point. The consoles we have now are not providing you enough computational power to see this like true generational leap. When Hellblade 2 comes out, I know one of your most anticipated games out there. When this game comes out, it will run at 30.
Yep.
It will look fantastic.
Yeah.
But it will not even run at 4K at 30 on these consoles. And if you want the option to play that at 60, you have to buy into a really expensive PC.
And
I personally rather have like a mid-gen refresh console for, I don't know, let's say then 600, and have the ability to play this game at 60 at good quality on my console.
But that's the thing. We don't know as yet what the leap is that they're going to put into these consoles. We don't know what the power difference is going to be. We don't know if it came out, for instance, and it was only bumping up to a Zen 3 or a Zen 4 compared to a Zen 2, and it only had a marginal RAM increase and a marginal GPU increase, it wouldn't really make a significant difference on the bottom line. It wouldn't. That's because we don't know what's in these. So it's all well.
But of course, we don't know what is in there. But again, if you think about it, if you use the blueprint to the 1X and the blueprint to the Series X and apply that to the Series XL or whatever it will be called, yeah, then you will get a mid-tier state-of-the-art architecture CPU and GPU. That was it. We had Zen 2 CPUs, yeah, more or less state-of-the-art in 2020. They came out. We had a state-of-the-art GPU architecture with RDNA 2. Did we have like the high-end, like, I don't know, the 80 series in NVIDIA? Like, no. It is the mid-tier. It is the 2070 Ti we could compare it to, yeah? So we get the mid-tier GPU. And that means next year we are getting the 5070, equivalent. And we will get the state-of-the-art CPU, which is then, depending on when they launch, yeah, either Zen 4 or Zen 5 CPUs. Will we get the high-end CPU? No, we will get the mid-tier CPU. But this jump from Zen 2 to Zen 5 is significantly. You have like almost 3 times the amount of computational resources there. And the GPUs have moved on 2 generations, man. The difference in between when you have today the 2070 or the 4070, that's a massive difference. And that allows you to play like not at medium setting. That allows you to play on high or ultra setting. And games just look fantastic with that. And that's the thing. Nobody is going to force you. If you say, hey, I still want my money's worth with this console that I bought 3 years ago, good for you. The games will run on that anyway. But why not have the option? And I make a bet that a ton of gamers out there are willing to invest either on the PS5 Pro or the Series XL to get that extra fidelity, to get the extra frames.
But this is the issue we've got at the minute, though.
And the only argument I let count against this is, and this goes particularly for Xbox, less so for Sony, is Xbox already has 2 SKUs that developers have to optimize for. Adding a third one is making it life harder for developers, and we will even see less optimization because on the global scale, Sony is outselling Microsoft even at a faster pace than they did last gen. So this time we are talking already 2-1, and Sony is so miles ahead and selling significantly faster that, yes, developing for 3 different SKUs for Xbox is going to be a problem for developers. We will see even less optimization, and that's the one argument I can see that speaks against a mid-gen refresh console. The other things, it's great to have options for gamers. Again, option. Nobody's forcing you to get the Series XL. No one. But then, and if Sony does it, that's the thing. The PS5 Pro will be their second SKU. And the Sony, and that's why we've seen the transition over from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, and the same will happen to PlayStation 5 Pro. The Sony architecture is more depending on like brute force, like higher clock speeds. Nobody has to optimize for higher clock speeds. What Xbox chose is they have more compute units. Well, developers have to optimize for that. You have to make your pipelines more parallelized. Yeah, you have to more parallelize. That's actual work to make use of that extra power in that console. Sony, just higher clock speeds. This is automatically, without doing anything, available for all developers. This makes transitioning over a lot easier. Xbox introduced a lot of new tools with the DirectX 12, and people are just not using it. They've simply evolved the tools and so on. So this developing for a second SKU is easier on the on PlayStation, and the third SKU on Xbox, it's just a third one for a significantly smaller install base, and it will simply become the question: how much or how are developers willing to optimize? How much are they willing to be to optimize for games and those multiple versions that they have taken care of?
This is ultimately what's going to be the issue going forward anyway, Boxy, is even if they bring out these mid-gen refreshes, these are... You'd have the PlayStation 5 digital and disc, PlayStation 5 Pro, Xbox Series S, X, XL, or X Elite, whatever it is that they name it. So there's already 5. Then potentially a Switch, and then add on that PC, and then make sure it's Steam Deck verified, and then among many other things. And then we know PC in itself has 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 versions. So developers themselves, they're already complaining right now that they have to go and optimize for these things. And this isn't specifically for first party, because first party is going to make the most of whatever these consoles have, regardless. Going forward, the only time you're really going to see these games maxed out on any platform is if a PlayStation studio is making a PlayStation game and an Xbox studio is making an Xbox game. That's the only time you're going to see these games actually maxed. Really pushing things to the limit. Unless you're getting a team like Cyberpunk.
I know this train of thought, but I would
argue
against that because every Xbox game has to be developed for PC as well.
Yeah,
and
always has.
So it's not like any different than any other third-party game.
Kind of. The difference in
maybe
for
because
Xbox,
they get a little extra funding from Microsoft and get the extra years.
The difference for Xbox though is that they have Xbox Game Studios publishing division that does that for them. They don't have to worry about it internally. This is why PlayStation bought Nixxes, to do that exact same thing. So they can go, these guys can just do this, and Nixxes can worry about the port.
Yeah.
So they don't, it's an entirely separate, okay, you guys, you work on the PC version of this. We'll focus on the console version. That's essentially how Game Studios publishing works for the PC port. So it's a little bit, that's kind of, or the technology division as it's known as. They deal with the PC port, so it's not like Playground or any of those guys have to worry about making that version work on PC. because they're not the ones doing that. That's what the publishing division's there for, which is a good thing. And
but that's not how it works within the Xbox studios. The studios develop the games for PC and console. A Ninja Theory is developing both versions at the same time. And yes, they get maybe a little, simply for the fact that they are first party. Yeah, they get a little extra time to optimize for all those different versions. But at the end of the day, they are building the game for PC. They are building the game to be scaled across a lot of PCs, as many as possible. And then they will port it over to console. And yes, again, it is more work to do optimize for 3 different versions if you have like a Series XL. That's maybe a negative. But at the end of the day, they are not optimizing for the consoles anyway.
Yeah. They're still not now. And one thing that we can do on PC that's quite easy is we can do 1080p, upscale it to 4K, and max it out. And you save an absolute boatload of overhead, like a boatload of overhead. The problem you've got on console is you don't get that option. You don't, at the moment, how many games on console do you know that's actually using FSR2? Who are actually like not
3?
aiming, who are not aiming for a native resolution, and the dynamic scaling system that they've got is just an old traditional version, which is okay. We'll dynamically scale the resolution based on the frame rate. Not okay. Well, you can lock your resolution to 2K, and then you can upscale it yourself, or you can choose to upscale it with FSR to 4K, and that means you're gonna get more overhead. But you don't have that option on console, and I think until developers are actually utilizing that, they're not focusing on doing dynamic scaling based on okay, well, we'll have the resolution drop and that makes sure the frame rate stays consistent. Until we get the option to be able to, as consumers, say, no, I want this game to run as fast as possible and look pretty, and have the settings like, okay, this game's going to be 1080, however, I'm going to use FSR2 or FSR3 to make this game 4K, which would save a boatload of overhead, and then go in and say, okay, I want the highest fidelity settings on there. That's ultimately what developers should be looking to do to save overheads, instead of wasting time focused on resolution counts. Because that's why these consoles aren't doing what they need to do right now, is because I think a lot of developers are not using the basic stuff that's already there for them. Yeah, it might be a bit extra work to get this FSR2 or FSR3, whenever that is out, to run properly on console, but it needs to happen sooner rather than later. Otherwise, you're going to end up, and this is what I'm mentioning with the differences between what would be the Series or PlayStation console versus a mid-gen refresh with a Zen 5, is that the discrepancy in what would be capable on a native resolution or even on a resolution basis would be significant. But it would also mean that they would have a major drawback, because it's not just about the fidelity, it's about what the technical limitations are. If you're having something that's Zen 5, you are then always limited by the technical constraints of the other consoles. You can make the game look as pretty as you want on a mid-gen refresh. You can make it look fancy. You can have a bit of extra frames, but technically the games aren't advancing. That in itself makes.
But it's the thing. What kind of advancements do you expect? What do you think how games advance over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? It's again, you're not going to make the same jump that we had when we went from the 32-bit era to the 64-bit era, where we suddenly went from 2D to 3D. That's not the way how games will advance. Games will advance gradually. We will get better textures. We will get better animations. We will get better lighting. and we get that step by step.
But even if you have a look, but if you have a look at even compare it from the 1X to the Series X. Sorry, from the 1 to the Series X. That's 10 years. From the 1 to the Series X. So in a decade, you've went from 900p, not running at 60, with bugger all, games running poorly, to where we are now, with options for ray tracing at 4K 60 on a lot of games, specifically first-party games getting that 4K 60. Granted, third-party games aren't. But if you have a look at even just the generational difference in a decade there versus what we got with mid-gen refreshes, it's a significant difference. And again, that's what we should be looking for going forwards. And again, like I say, ignore the 8K stuff because no one's going to pick up on 8K for a very long time.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So pointless. Yeah. But what they ultimately need to do is stop focusing on these big refreshed versions and concentrate on making sure that the developers across the board know how to use the tools that are available to them, not just internally, but on one of the major game engines in the industry, which is Unreal, and they're clearly not using what's available on Unreal Engine yet.
Sure.
So it's one of those things. It's like, is it justifiable? We don't know what the specs are of these next gen versions are. It could be that next gen versions, these enhanced versions come out, and it's like the jump is barely noticeable. Like it could be like, okay, well, your game now, although we already promised 4K 60 on the PS5 and the Series X, now we're definitely hitting 4K 60. You're like, oh, okay, right? Is that it? Is that what we're getting? So now we've got just a marginal power difference, or do they go complete opposite end of the scale and it ends up being what feels more like a next gen console going into a Gen 10? And then you've got the issue of developers complaining that they've got too many consoles to develop for because it's such a power discrepancy. So it's one of them things that ultimately we're going to get them anyway, because again, we're in that little finite part of the market that picks up new technology when it comes out. But it's still a hard one to go for. And yes, we know the PlayStation 5 Pro dev kit is going out to developers by the end of this year. Great. Mm-hmm. But when's that then going out to third parties to start using it and start developing for? That could be not till the middle of next year, or the beginning of next year, or later. And then Xbox, we don't even know if they're doing the mid-gen refresh as yet, because nothing's been leaked. We would assume you would hope so, but that would be maybe a year after. And then by the time the devs have eventually got round to, okay, now we know how to optimize for these next gen or these mid-gen refreshes, then you're coming into the closing of the generation again. By the time they've actually got to that point where they can actually maximize the next refreshed console when they haven't even maximized the current one, at least at the end of last gen, the 1X was like 2 years prior to the end, so we had 6 years of the one before we got the 1X, and we got another.
No, we didn't.
Was it not 5.5 years?
No, it was 4 years into the generation that we got to see the 1X, and it was 3 years into the generation when we got the PS4 Pro. So by that logic, this year we should get the PS5 Pro, and next year
that's not also not taking into account all the development setbacks across the board from COVID.
Yeah, that's probably why the PS5 Pro comes out next year, not this year. So, and then the question is, yeah, of course, the question is, what will Xbox do? I mean, it's more or less confirmed that PlayStation is going to do it, but will Xbox follow suit? Again, they have a more challenging decision here to make, because they already have 2 consoles out there. And they are outsold on a global scale significantly by PlayStation. And adding a third console version is simply, yeah, when is it enough for third parties, to port those to all those versions for an install base that simply isn't there, so that decision is probably a lot more challenging for Microsoft than it is for Sony. And so it really is going to be a good question. I mean, what do you think? Will they follow suit? Will they take the L if they don't? Like they will lose every Digital Foundry comparison. Like, the biased media sites out there. How will these stories go? Yeah, there is an Xbox version, but just play it on PlayStation, dude. It's so much better. That will be the narrative.
The problem you've got, though, is if Xbox haven't already started developing this mid-gen refresh, it's going to be too late.
If they have not by now, it's going to be delayed. Too late. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
So it's not a case of could they react. It's a case of
it's not a decision that they made this year. They had to make that decision 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In order to bring it out, I want to say 25. Then
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not a case of if PlayStation do it with Xbox. I think it's more a case of have they already begun that process, or have they at all?
Have they made this decision? Yeah. That's a question we are asking. What do you think?
You would hope so, because again, what you don't want is, like you've mentioned, is end up being the essentially the worst place to play all third party content. That's you just can't have that. You can't have a position where Xbox ends up being the worst place to play third party content, because it makes all these deals and all these agreements and partnerships with all these third parties like Square or Sega makes it irrelevant. You can put it all in Game Pass if you want, but if the game looks and plays better everywhere else, and your game's the worst version of it, what's the point? Makes no difference.
So what do you think? Have they made the decision pro or not?
I think they've already started that. I think they've already started that process, but do I think it's going to come out in the next 2 years? I don't know. It depends. Do they wait a little bit further and get that Zen 5? Like they did with the One X, they waited and got the extra. They did the same with the Series X.
That I could see that they bring out, the Series XL a year later than the PS5 Pro, 25 then. Yeah.
Shout out for Gaz for being messy in the chat there. Can't wait for to be khaki all at Gamescom.
Yeah.
And your camera windows are made for ants. Hey, I'm making sure you can see this beautiful gameplay. All right. Oh dear me. Hello, guys.
I can't wait to meet Gas in person, man. It's going to be so much fun.
It is. Definitely. We're gonna get onto Gamescom topics soon anyway, guys. But yeah, I think if Xbox do what Xbox have usually done, they'll wait till the last minute to make sure they can get the latest version of the technology before pushing out. Like I said, they mentioned they did that with the Series X. We got David Breen on the show before the Series consoles were out, and he was talking about the development process and what happened and why they waited so long. And I mean, obviously you were there, Boxy, and interviewing him with us.
Yeah.
So we know the difficulties and why they chose to delay the release, or at least delay the announcement of the Series X, in order to get the latest technology that was available to them in that console at the time. Primarily, which was full RDNA 2, which they wanted. They wanted to have the full version of that, not a gimped version. They wanted all the bells and whistles. And and obviously they ended up essentially delaying the dev kits, and then that caused the issues that we had at the beginning of the gen when no one had anything ready.
And how did that turn out for them?
Yeah, exactly. And could be an issue. And again, this is the problem we've got though, is that the longer they wait, by the time they start actually using what's capable in this refreshed console, it'll be the end of the gen. So it's like it's one of those. It's like, are we ever actually going to see these consoles really maxed?
Listen, the new gen will be what? 28, 29.
Yeah, but that means
it will be the exact same story like last gen. In the mid, that's why they called mid-gen refresh consoles. In the middle of the gen, you will get the option, again, an option to increase your specs of the console. If you don't want to invest another $600 or whatever it will be, you're good. You can play your games at least until 28, 29. No problem. But if you want a little bit more fidelity and better frames and better visual quality of the games, then there is an option out for you. There's no... I don't see this as an argument that, yes, 3 or 4 years later, we start the new gen anyway. So that's the exact point of a mid-gen refresh. So,
I mean, like I say though, last gen it was a little bit. I think it was a little bit different because there wasn't that many versions of a console or consoles or systems to develop for. You had the PS4, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One, and the One X. That's it.
Same as this gen,
No,
except that Xbox already released 2 consoles. Yes,
this is what I'm saying.
For Xbox. For Xbox, yeah, but on PlayStation side of things,
but even then,
good.
Even then, COD, like the rate in which PC technology is advancing is far quicker than it was last gen. Far quicker.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, you're talking about like
AMD and Nvidia have released every other year their new generation.
Last gen we had the 10 series and the 20 series. This gen already we've had the
but we had what was it called, the GTX the GTX series before that. Again,
but this gen we're already talking about, like we're talking 3-4 years into this gen, we've had the 20 series, the 30 series, the 40 series, the 50 series.
Simply because they stayed on the RTX series. They had the GTX series before that. Every 2 years, Nvidia has brought out a new GPU every 2 years for the last 15 years. Every 2 years.
Feels like every year.
And simply because they have a different year, a different name, doesn't mean that it's not true. And the same goes for Intel and AMD with the CPUs. Every 2 years, we get a new CPU generation for like 20 years now. The technology advances more or less the same. I give you one thing. The jump from GTX to RTX was massive.
Yep.
It was a massive jump in like a GPU architecture. But still, like, technology moves simply faster.
That's what I'm saying. In terms compared to last gen, the technology is moving significantly faster, which is what by the time we get to the end of the gen anyway, it's going to be so far ahead. So far ahead. In comparison to last gen, the technology is going to be just, as you've mentioned, the last gen already started behind.
Yeah.
But last gen, in comparison, PlayStation didn't bother releasing any of their games on PC. Xbox did, but in little details, not loads. They had a few. So now there's more of a press for all developers to make games for all platforms, as opposed to, okay, well, this game's only coming out on PlayStation. We don't have to worry about a PC port. And this game's only coming out on Xbox. We don't have to worry about a PC port. Now you've got, okay, this game's coming out on Xbox, Series S, X, XL, and PC. All of them. And then potentially, if it gets another one, then whatever else. And of course, we know with Activision's dealings now, we know that Activision's going to be developing for the PS5, the PS5 Pro, the Series S, X, XL, Switch, PC. Fucking Netflix probably, Boosteroid, you name it. They've got about 400 things to develop for.
And that's why optimization for specific tools will become less irrelevant the more we move forward. When we go back to the 360 days, PS3 to 360 days, we had true exclusives. Yeah, Halo 3 was developed for Xbox 360, period. They could use all that this console had to offer. When Uncharted came out, 3, they could optimize that game for all the PS3 had to offer. This is no more. We don't have that anymore. We have games are built for tons of devices. And that goes for first party as well. And every Xbox first party game is no different than any third party game. They come out for millions of different configurations on PC and the 2 versions on console. And that's it. And if it were a true multi-plat, they would also develop the game for PlayStation. They would only add one other version.
2 versions.
By now, only one. So far. You know? And that's the thing. They have to develop those games anyway for millions of different hardware configurations. And that's why you won't. That's why Sony ditched the 3D audio and moved over to Atmos, because nobody cares about developing their sound engines for this one particular engine that is only available on this particular hardware configuration. They have to develop Atmos anyway, because the hundreds of millions of different hardware configurations out there simply support it. And they do not the very specific Sony audio engine. And that's the thing. We have to get rid of this. The devs have to use the tools. They won't. They will use what is easily available for them and what is available on all devices. Honestly, that's why I think that the approach of FSR, by the way, is significantly better than DLSS, because DLSS is hardware agnostic and it is not backwards compatible. Yeah. And that limits significantly the amount of devices you can optimize for. FSR runs on Intel hardware. It runs on NVIDIA hardware. It runs across all AMD devices. It runs on everything. These are the kind of tools we need. We need the tools that work hardware agnostic. Waiting for full RDNA 2, because then you can use direct storage API. And only 2 games in the entire world use it. And one is not even on an Xbox. Yeah. That's the thing. So
yeah, it's
I think we should talk about the Bukkake Fest that Gas is planning.
Yeah. Let's move on to Gamescom, shall we? Bukkake Fest. Please. With Gaz Fest. Yeah, so Gamescom, Xbox again have been posting a lot about this. This is definitely their largest showing to date. A significant difference for them as well. So they've got the edition this year, and I'm just going to go into it now because we've got a little Gamescom chat going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, myself, Boxy, Mick, Erwin from the Midweek crew are going there, along with Gaz from Game On Daily, of course, in chat. Septic Sauce there with his Bukkake. And John from Xbox Era. I know Jez is going, and many others. And of course, anybody who's going there from chat, you're welcome to meet us there as well. We'll say hello. But yeah, Xbox.
Yeah, please hit us up if you are in Cologne, anywhere in between Tuesday and Friday of Gamescom week. Hit us up. The DMs are open.
Yeah.
We truly want to meet as many as possible from this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Or those of you who aren't, because of course now Twitter's changed, you can't message somebody unless they're following you back. So even just...
No, you can change that back, actually.
Can you do that
you
now?
just have to do it. Yeah, you can change that back, but you have to do it. You have to go into the settings and then you can change it back.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well, I'll try and change that. And everybody make sure they've got that as well so we can respond to you. But yeah, hit us up, whether it's @in on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days. Or
I will call it Twitter forever.
Yeah, forever. Or Threads or Discord, whatever it is that you use, or Xbox. Hit us up. We'll meet up with you and say hello and whatnot. But yeah, Xbox are having their biggest appearance yet, and of course, more and more posts. But we also know that there's going to be some very interesting games that are going to be playable at Gamescom that we're looking forward to. So of course, we know Forza Motorsport is going to be
No, we don't.
We do.
No, we don't. That is very, very weird. Actually, I think that is the most weirdest thing of this all, that Starfield and Forza are going to be presented in a theater and not be playable, when especially Starfield comes out 5 days later. This is truly weird. Now you're speechless, man. I took the wind out of your sail.
That's strange, very strange. So I'll read it. I'll read the article first in full. So the Xbox booth, because they are coming in big force this year.
Yeah.
This is their excerpt. Did we mention that the Xbox booth is bigger than ever this year? Because it is. We have over 30 titles in the booth waiting eager players spread across over 150 gaming stations. Amazing photo ops experiences as a specially constructed 300-seater theater. Attendees will be able to check out exclusive theater presentations, as you mentioned there, from Bethesda Game Studios' highly anticipated Starfield, as well as upcoming Xbox Game Studios releases, Forza Motorsport from the developers of Turn 10 Studios, and Aura History Untold from Team Oxide. Towerborn, the newest adventure from the developers at Stoic, and unveiled at the Xbox Game Showcase, will be hands-on for the first time, and we'll have the latest content coming to Elder Scrolls Online and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Over 25 titles from our third-party partners at ID at Xbox Friends will be playable on the booth. This includes the world debuts of GSC Game World's Stalker 2, Overkill Software and Starbreeze Studios' Payday 3, Dontnod's recently announced GoesseN, From Software's Armored Core 6, Fires Rubicon, Recreate Games' Party Animals, CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Spotlight by Quantic Dreams Under the Waves, Sega Atlus's Persona 5 Tactica, and many more. Attendees can also come and help us celebrate 10 years at ID at Xbox and experience a diverse range of ID Xbox titles for hands-on, including Paradox's Lamplighters League, Thunderful's SteamWorld Build, Amplifier's Lightyear Frontier, and many more. Whatever you're into, the Xbox booth will have something for you. A full list of playable titles are available here. So let's have a look at these playable titles at the booth then, shall we?
Yes, please.
Yes, right. Come on, where's this list? Where's your list? No, you're not going to show us that list. Oh, there we go. So Block A, Games Presence, Starfield Theater Experience, Starfield Photo Opportunities, Towerborn Gaming Stations, Towerborn Claw Machine, Microsoft Flight Simulator game stations, Elder Scrolls Online Necrom game stations and community roundtables, Elder Scrolls Online Necrom photo opportunities, GoesseN game stations, Infinity Trash, Dragon Quest The Adventure of Die game stations, Dungeons 4 game stations, Under the Waves game stations, broadcast stage, PC Gamepass challenge info desk. And then, that's block A. Block B, Aura History Untold Theatre Experience, Aura History Untold Photo Opportunities, Sea of Thieves Face Paint and Tattoo Spray, Sea of Thieves Photo Opportunities, Forza Motorsport Theatre Experience, Forza Motorsport Photo Opportunity, Hellblade 2 Face Paint and Tattoo, Hellblade 2 Photo Opportunity and Meet and Greet, Payday 3, Stalker 2 Game Station, Stalker 2 Photo Opportunity, Sonic Superstars Game Station, so you can play Sonic Superstars. Vin will be jealous. Persona 5 Tactica, Party Animals, Immortals of Avium, Mortal Kombat 1 game station, so that's playable. Ghost Runner 2, Overwatch 2, Diablo 4 photo opportunity, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon game station, playable. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, playable. And photo opportunities. Another Crab's Treasure ID Xbox, playable. Headbangers, playable. Lamplighters League, playable. SteamWorld, playable. Worldless, playable. Lightyear Frontier, playable. Little Kitty Big City, playable. Cocoon, playable. Dead Pets, playable. Mineko's Night Market, playable. Nide, playable. Botany Manor, playable. Island of Winds, playable. Antstream, playable. And Stumble Guys, playable. So there we go.
There we go.
So a big turnout from Xbox, and that's not including, and if I go back here, they will be available on, and of course that'll be from Wednesday for trade and press. So on the 23rd, trade and press, Xbox will be there. They've also got FanFest, which is happening on the 23rd. Which is an after-hours experience, so you can get to see the show floor, see all the games, play the games, etc. on the night time before anybody else joins in on the 24th. So, of course, if you're going to be in Cologne around that time period, make sure that you've registered, and you could win tickets to go to Xbox FanFest. They're going to be there on the 24th officially, 25th, 26th, and 27th. Xbox are also going to be live from the show floor, so it says no matter where you are in the world, we will bring Gamescom 23 to you with 3 days of 3-hour live streams directly from the Xbox booth. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, join Team Xbox and friends on a series of streams taking deeper dive into some of the highly anticipated games at Gamescom 2023 with gameplay, developer chats, and community segments to give you a flavour of the show. Whether you join us for the stream or just dip in for the latest on the most anticipated titles, we're looking forward to connecting with you. Xbox FanFest, celebrate, as we've just mentioned there, so you can register for that. Yes, and they're also taking part in DevCom as well, so they call in and speaking to all developers. So all developers can go and speak to them on the 22nd. At the Microsoft Office event space in Germany, in Cologne. So there we go. A lot of time. And a lot happening. So what do you make of Xbox's involvement this year then at Gamescom?
Oh, pardon me. You caught me there. I do love it. I love to see Xbox go big. Europe is not an easy market for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Granted, you could argue because of lackluster effort for a long time. But they are obviously trying to change that. They go big. All the executives will be there. Phil will going to be there. Yeah, they have the biggest booth. And that's what Gamescom has always been about. Actually playing the games. The announcements happen usually during the E3 show press conference. But playable versions, hands-on for the fans. 400,000 people going there. this is awesome that Xbox goes big, whilst their biggest competitor, Sony, doesn't even bother to show up. Yeah. And for them to have such a stellar lineup to actually play there is fantastic. I personally am particularly excited to play Stalker 2.
Yes.
I told you that a couple of weeks ago that I expect some sort of announcement related to Stalker 2. Maybe the release date. Maybe we still get that. Yeah. Now that it's playable, I think so even more.
Yeah.
GC Game World is a European-based, obviously Ukrainian-based developer. So this is their home turf, you know. For them to be there at Gamescom and actually give Stalker 2 in the hands of the fans, play it, experience it. This is a big message. I'm so happy for the team because there's no other development team out there that has gone through even remotely the struggles that they have been through. And for Xbox to bring them to their booth, to actually let people play the game, I love that. It's absolutely fantastic, man. The only thing to me is what I said at the very beginning. Why can't we play Forza and Starfield? Especially Starfield. Again, this comes out like literally in early access, of course, yeah. 5 days later. So this is weird. I have a theory. I do have a theory why that is. Want to hear it?
Go on. Enlighten me.
Remember a couple of years ago when Bethesda's ZeniMax did not belong to Xbox? They announced that they are not going to hand out review codes anymore.
No, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, that's what they announced. Doom Eternal. Developers did not get review codes up front. Journalists, and influencers up front. They got them at release. Was heavily debated back in the time. I don't know how much of that is still valid now that they belong to Xbox, but this could be one thing. There are no Starfield review codes early.
Yep. You would expect the people to have it right now if there were.
Exactly.
Well, at least next week at the latest.
At the very latest. So this could be one thing. The other thing could be there would simply not be enough game stations you could put up. It's like impossible. You would have to create some sort of demo. So you would have to build a different version of the game. This takes up time, resources, and you want these events to be controlled. You don't want to throw a Starfield in the hands of people and then let them play 10 minutes, 15 minutes. What could you possibly play in Starfield that represents the game in 10 minutes? You know? Yeah. And then they decided to just, hey, we do like a control thing, theater presentation
with a show. Because what I've seen as well, because I've got one. I had one of these press engine things on the midweek email from the Dailic Studios.
Yeah.
And they're doing 30-minute blocks of what they class as meetings where you can go and play the games and things like that. And they've got that segment. It could be that they're doing this, as you've mentioned, instead of us doing the hands-on, they've got these theatre, a bit like they did with kind of like Cyberpunk, but hopefully not as bad, where they showcase the game being played in these 30-minute blocks in the theatre. So you can go in and watch the actual gameplay of this game running in 30-minute blocks in all of its glory, so you can see what the game looks like running. Not this cut segment thing, but just, for instance, maybe the opening 30 minutes, something that isn't being shown to everybody else in the public, and you have to be at Gamescom to see it, like Cyberpunk did behind closed doors. We never saw that gameplay footage for Cyberpunk that people saw behind closed doors.
I've never seen that.
So it could be that this theater experience is for those attending Gamescom.
Yeah.
And nobody else sees that Starfield or Forza footage. It is this. I agree, though. It is a damn shame that we potentially don't get to play either of those. I know Forza Irwin's going to be furious that he's not playing Forza. But I think you'll be happy seeing it and seeing it in action. And this theatre presentation could be a case of they've got somebody on stage literally playing a certain segment over and over again in live demonstration. Yeah. And just everybody else isn't. So we can kind of show you the things and show you how to move around instead of somebody trying to learn on the move how to use the game and then not actually getting to play it because they don't have enough time. I can understand with Starfield because realistically, that queue would be through the door and back again to play Starfield, and you wouldn't even scratch the surface, even in a 15-minute demonstration by yourself playing that game, as to what the game feels like or is about. Forza is a bit different. Forza, I think you could easily put a little, okay, well, here's a singular track. You finish that.
Yeah,
okay,
that would be
gone.
much easier. Yeah.
So it's a bit more confusing on Forza, but Starfield I kind of understand. Because I don't understand how you could possibly play that game on a booth.
Yeah.
Because of its sheer size. Like, you couldn't possibly learn the mechanics and how everything works and the...
Not even close.
No, you
Not
couldn't
even
really
close.
do anything.
And so, yeah. It's again, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah. There are probably reasons.
Yeah.
I've seen people out there already saying, okay, doesn't speak for the quality of the game.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
and I think we'll report on it. We'll do our due diligence and we'll report on it in person.
Oh, you bet.
To our
you
communities.
bet.
Yeah. So for everybody in chat as well, both the World of Gaming, Xbox and Burgers channel and mine, we're going to be covering this. We're going to be getting as much footage as we can. We're going to give you plenty of content. So whatever we see, you'll see to a good perspective. If possible in the theaters, I'll try. If hopefully, you're allowed some form of recording. If you can, then we'll get footage of whatever we see in these theaters.
Yeah.
But also, getting footage of Towerborn, getting footage of Stalker is an absolute must. Definitely getting footage of Stalker. I'll be getting footage of Armored Core 6 as well because that's highly anticipated. There's a few of them I'll be definitely looking at and getting some footage of because it's certainly going to be very interesting. But there's going to be plenty of content coming to these channels in a couple of weeks' time from Gamescom. It's going to be a fun time, definitely. Can't wait. We've got everything set now, so we're off to opening night live. So we're going to be seeing some nice announcements there, some world premieres and things like that. So we don't know what Xbox is going to show there.
I bet that Stalker 2 will get a release date at opening night live.
Which is why we see it as playable at Gamescom.
Exactly. They will have a fancy, awesome trailer there. They will announce the game comes out in December.
Yeah.
And you can play it over the next 5 days right here at Gamescom.
Yeah. So we're doing opening night live. We're at the trade and press event on the 23rd. Hopefully on 23rd nighttime we could be at FanFest. And on the 24th, then it's public day, and then of course whoever is around that hasn't seen us before that on the 22nd or 23rd, we can meet a few people from the community on the 24th, because ultimately the 24th is going to be manic, where it's going to be super busy in there, nowhere near as busy as the weekend, but anybody who's joining through on the 24th onwards, that would probably be the best time to meet us. Maybe even the 23rd. Yeah. I would even say if you're there earlier and you're at the beginning of the week, 22nd is your ideal one, because we won't be doing anything until opening night live on the nighttime. So we have a nice chill day when we arrive.
True.
Chill day.
I will arrive actually 10:20 in the morning.
I think we arrive at, I would like to say about 10 or 11 o'clock. I'll get to the hotel for maybe about 12.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, how far away travel-wise? Is it only like 15 minutes from Cologne Airport to the centre on the train?
I have no idea. I've never been at the airport at Cologne, so I have no idea.
Okay.
I go by train there, man. It's a 2.5-hour train ride.
Mm-hmm. Lucky for you.
You know,
I have to go all the way to the opposite side.
I got my ticket for the high-speed train. There's a direct connection from Stuttgart to Cologne. It will, with a car, by car, it would take me like it would be like a 6 to 7 hour drive.
Yeah.
And I have the high-speed train booked, and it's like 2.5 hours.
Lucky you. See,
lucky me.
I'm
right?
traveling on the 21st to Manchester, staying in a hotel overnight in Manchester with Mick. Then the flight is 7 o'clock in the morning, so we're going to go to the airport for like 4 o'clock, 4:30. Then get on the flight, then fly over on the 22nd, and then get the train through to Cologne from the airport. So we've got like a full day's traveling just to get to Germany, just because fucking airports over here are awkward. But hey, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. It's been too long, far too long.
Hello there. Are you back?
You're back. What happened?
What was it, me or was it you? I don't know. My thing here went dark, so I have no idea.
I think it was you. You just went.
Okay. So I have no idea. You said something. You
I'm looking
have
forward
to
to
leave very early in the morning.
Yeah. I said, leaving very early in the morning, get the flight over to Cologne on the 22nd, but we've already travelled to Manchester to get the flight on the 21st. So, it's a bit of a ball ache, but
cool.
We're all set. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, and of course, everybody in the community, Gaz, yourself, Mick, properly, because Mick met very, very briefly that XO 2019, but that was it. Yourself, I haven't met yet, and it's been years.
Yeah, many years.
Yeah. So that's gonna be awesome, but yeah, it's gonna be fun all around. It's gonna be good.
Definitely, most definitely.
But not long to go now. Just 3 little weeks. 3 little weeks until we're in Cologne. Hallelujah.
Cannot wait, man. And at least the ticket thing is all sorted out now. So.
Yep. Tickets sorted. We know what we're doing. We've got our plan set in order. All good to go.
Gonna be fantastic, man.
It is. But on that note, ladies and gents, it's been a blast. We've managed to hold down the line for almost 2 hours, 2.5 hours here. So happy days. But I didn't doubt for a moment me and Boxy could not hold the line here, and we both like to rant. We're good at
Yes,
that.
we do.
Oh dear me. But yeah, Boxy, it's been a blast. And of course, everybody who's doing super chats or channel memberships or anything, and anybody who's jumped into chat today, thank you very much for tuning in again. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy the content. And same to all those on audio platforms. Please make sure to leave us a rating if you've got us on Amazon or Google or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find us absolutely everywhere. So this will be uploaded after the fact on there. Probably be about a couple of hours later by the time everything's processed. But it'll be ready for you in the morning if you missed out on this show live, and you can just listen to it on your audio platform. But Boxy, let people know what you've got coming up, brother, and let people know where they can find you.
Of course, we got the World of Gaming planned for tomorrow. I have to dig now for some other topics, dude. You basically stole them all. But no, kidding, of course. It's gonna be a lot of fun because we will have the one and only Mr. Boomstick tomorrow on our show, and everyone knows we both hold Mr. Boomstick near and dear to our heart. He's a fantastic pillar of this community, and we haven't had like a direct chat just with him in a long time. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, other than that, man, it like you said, Gamescom is nearing. I'm getting stuff prepared for that, for the travels and everything. It's gonna be so much fun. So we have a couple of good things coming, and other than that, man, I cannot wait for the next midweek mix-up podcast next week.
Yes, indeed. And fingers crossed some more interesting news over the coming days. You never know. As the closer Gamescom starts to approach, the closer we'll get little more bite sizes of things that might happen, or maybe little leaks and things across the road. So we'll report it as it happens, of course. It's going to be fun.
Definitely.
But yes, and for myself, you can find me everywhere at WandrinDutch on X or Twitter at WandrinDutchX now. Thanks again, Twitter, for deleting my entire large profile. And now I've got to start from scratch. But yeah, WandrinDutchX.
How are you doing with that, by the way?
Still no further forward. I'm just doing it.
How is the new?
The new one's doing all right. It's like 700 followers or something at the minute, but
oh, nice.
Needs to sharpish increase, I think, but it'll come. I'm just gonna build that up whilst I try to see if I ever get the other one back. Happy days, then I can just pick up where I left off. But if I don't, then at least this one might have recovered some of that lost ground by that point. But yeah, other than that, you can find me everywhere at WandrinDutch, and of course, I'll be on later on this evening on Primetime Gaming. And again tomorrow, of course, with the World of Gaming with Boxy and Mr. Boomstick, which I'm looking forward to again. It's going to be a lot of changes up into and beyond Gamescom, though. Of course, we're going to be looking to increase the presence on YouTube a bit more. Start doing a couple of little streams on Twitch once or twice a week again. And increase things like TikToks and Shorts, increase Instagram posts, increase Twitter, and everything that kind of goes on with content creation expansion. And then following Gamescom, really look to nail down and start working on a website, which I think for future things like trade and press events it looks like it's going to be a necessity, to be honest. I don't think you can rely on just sheer content creator YouTube or Twitch numbers to guarantee you anything these days. I think you definitely need a website presence in order to really stand out for these press events, etc. So that's something that I'm going to be nailing down after Gamescom. So there's going to be a lot happening, a lot changing. There's going to be a lot of work getting put in, but hope you like what's going to come in the future. But until next time, ladies, gents, hope you had an awesome evening. Enjoy your gaming. again, like, share, and subscribe, and we shall see you all again next time. Goodbye.
See ya.